Okay, Paul, go ahead.
Hey, I'd like to call the of our regular council meeting for December to order, please. Land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we are gathered on traditional territory of Indigenous peoples who have been stewards of the land since time immemorial, and as such, we treat the land, its plants, animals, stories, and people with honor and respect. So before we move on with the agenda as noted, I'm going to turn this over to Andra for a special presentation.
Thank you, Mayor Jenkins. Today I'm pleased to welcome the Retired Teachers Association for our area to our council meeting. They come bearing gifts at this wonderful and joyous time of the year, and as such I'd like to invite them up to the podium to make a few comments.
I don't think I need a microphone in here.
No, you're okay.
First of all, I should tell you who I am. I'm Jerry Watts. I'm serving as president of Retired Teachers of Ontario. And I am no stranger to Bancroft, even though you don't recognize me. I did some of my teaching in Belleville, and then I went to Waterloo County, became a principal there. And 7 years ago, my wife and I, we had a cottage here on Spur Lake. And we looked around and saw Waterloo growing too much, and we said, we're going back. So we've been delighted to move back to this area and spend a great deal of time at our cottage here and in Bancroft. I should mention too that we are several in our delegation this afternoon, and I want to give credit to some of our local members who participated in this and came up with the idea for a bench downtown that we are going to run. I should tell you, in case you don't know, that we are, Retired Teachers of Ontario is not just an Ontario group. It says Ontario and it says teachers. There are actually 80,000 members across Canada, and we welcome people from the educational community, which includes teachers from public and separate, college teachers, university professors. We now bring in secretaries, school secretaries, bus drivers, anybody who has worked in an educational community. Is welcome, and that probably accounts for the 80,000 and growing. We actually are the largest nonprofit benefit provider in Canada, and as well as most of our members, we actually insure about 100,000 people. But I want to assure you that we are much larger than just a benefits provider, because we try to do as much charitable work in the community as we can, which brings us here today. This is not the first check that I presented in Bancroft, but not to you. And so I want to emphasize that as a group, it's sort of like a large family of retired people who support each other. We get involved in causes. And if I was to characterize it, I would say that we are a very grateful group, in that most of us really appreciate the fact that we've had great education, wonderful careers, and we know fully that a lot of this is subsidized by government and so on. And so we really appreciate the fact that we have a chance now to give back. And when I look around at you folks, and having served a bit in local government myself, you're the same way. You're certainly not doing it for the money. And your service is very much appreciated. I should say that the media these days, of course, is just filled with bad news. And there was a reference to this joyous season of Christmas. But I think that I'm really proud that those of us in the delegation can come here today and present to you a check for $4,000. So we're bringing some good news, money. And we're looking forward to being involved in the revitalization project with a bench downtown, I understand, that'll be plaqued RTO. And so we would love to come back and do something, perhaps a little ceremony when the bench goes in. And clearly it's not going in this room. That's all it is. So that's all I wanted to say, and I'd like to present this check to someone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
On behalf of staff and council, we appreciate the support of the Retired Teachers of Ontario District 19 for Hastings and Prince Edward. Thank you all for making the trek here today. And we look forward to seeing the bench when it's installed. So for a bit of context, they requested that they be able to sponsor the bench that will go on the crosswalk closest to Scotia Bay that will connect to our future library site. And it really connects to two of their guiding principles, which is providing safe, walkable communities for the retired members themselves and seniors in general, but also to connect those seniors to children and learning education and opportunities wherever possible. So it seemed like a really great fit. Those to choose us to support. So thank you again very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sorry, we're like the Magi, we come bearing gifts, but we leave quickly.
Well, you can come anytime you want. Anytime you want to come and bring guests, we will take you. Okay, thank you very much.
We don't need another meeting.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
That's
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
You were a good class.
Well, following that very nice note, we'll have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. My comments for today. So good afternoon. Welcome to our last regularly scheduled council meeting for 2023. 2023 was both a challenging and interesting year as we emerged from the pandemic and dealt with its lasting effects, including high inflation, labor shortages, housing shortages, and escalating interest rates. While the outlook on many of these deterrents is improving, progress will be gradual and will continue to affect our operations and longer-term capital plans that are necessary to provide both basic services and facilitate longer-term growth and revenue generation. Costs have risen dramatically and will continue to do so, albeit at a reduced rate. To offset rising costs that are ultimately paid by the taxpayer, we must grow our revenues through increasing our tax base, i.e. new development, and look for all other revenue opportunities and cost efficiencies in our daily operations. To aid in this goal, we have undertaken several organizational changes over the last year and look forward to new initiatives that will continue to move the municipality forward. Despite the headwinds faced in 2023, we were still able to proceed with many of our objectives, including the construction phase of our downtown revitalization project and completion of our community fitness and meeting space known as the Leaf Center. Planning also continued for our new library housing project, and we currently await news on an application we have made to the Housing Accelerator Fund that will have a direct impact on this and other housing projects that we have in the pipeline. We recognize the need to give an all-out effort to increase our housing supply with an emphasis on market and affordable rental units. As mentioned previously, high interest rates and construction costs have delayed anticipated housing developments as well as individual builds. With some relief anticipated on this front, it is our hope that we will see increased activity in 2024. Our top priority throughout 2023 has been to do everything within our power to deal with the homeless situation that has escalated across the country and within our own community. The first step is with the creation of a more sustainable warming room that we're working in tandem with Hastings County to get established. A portable facility is to be relocated from Belleville, and all steps on the town's part are completed. We'd also like to recognize and thank our local Hydro One office for establishing a power service at the identified location in extremely quick order. We anticipate that the new warming room would be up and running by now. Hastings County continues to expedite this process with the contractor involved. We also support and will continue to lobby on behalf of the Little Blue Cabins project that will provide much needed supports and transitional housing. While we locally continue to pursue all means to reduce the homeless situations, we have and will continue to call on the provincial and federal governments for more comprehensive supports to deal with this issue. We also ask local residents to do whatever they can through donations to our local food bank and various other agencies that provide much needed basic supports. And finally, on behalf of staff and council, we would like to wish all residents a happy holiday season and ask that you support our local merchants who give generously to our community. Adoption of the open session agenda. Be it resolved, the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is hereby approve of the open session agenda dated December 13th, 2023 as amended. Could I have a mover and a seconder on that, please? Councillor Barry McGibbon, Councillor Wiggins, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah.
Thank you. All in favor, please? So passed. Declaration of pecuniary interest and nature thereof. Seeing none. So at this time, we have a public meeting under the Planning Act. As required by the Planning Act, the purpose of the public meeting is to inform the public and hear representation in respect of a proposed bylaw for the purpose of rezoning lands within the municipality. Those persons or public bodies who provide verbal submissions in respect of the proposed bylaw will be requested to provide their name and address for recording in the minutes. Verbal submissions may be recorded in the minutes and will assist council in making a decision on the proposed bylaw. Applications are heard in the order in which they appear on the agenda. So be it resolved, the Council of the Corporation of Town of Bancroft is hereby moving to public meeting pursuant to the Planning Act for the purpose of hearing support and or objections for rezoning applications within the municipality. Can I have a mover and a seconder on that, please? Councillor Miles and Councillor Eastman, all in favor, please? So passed, thank you. The file description, the owner applicant is J. Braybrook, civic address 52 Oldham Ave Road. Legal description, Lot 5, Plan M30, Geographic Township of Dungann, now Town of Bancroft, County of Hastings. The purpose of the proposed zoning amendment is to satisfy a condition of provisional consent for Hastings County Land Division file number B132/22. The Planning Development Coordinator will present a staff report to provide further details regarding the purpose and effect of the proposed zoning bylaw. Robin, I'll hand it over to you at this time.
Thank you, Your Worship. As the Mayor has indicated, the purpose of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is to satisfy conditions of consent for Hastings County Land Division File P132/22, which was approved to create a new residential lot. The subject lands are located on the east side of Oldham Ave Road, and on February 7th, 2023, the owner received provisional consent to create a new non-farm residential lot from the existing 50-acre parcel. The proposed severed lot is approximately 5 acres in area and is built out with an existing single detached dwelling and associated accessory buildings, including a barn. The proposed retained lands are vacant and are approximately 44 acres in area. The subject lands are currently zoned rural, RU zone, and environmental protection EP zone. The proposed severed lands are to be rezoned from the rural zone to the residential type 2 exception 5 zone. The rezoning will recognize the resulting reduced lot area and bring the subject lands into conformity with the Hastings County Official Plan Hamlet Land Use Designation. The Hamlet designation is applied to traditional rural settlement areas in Hastings County. The lands to be rezoned are located in the designated hamlet of Lamar. Residential lots to be designated hamlet are zoned residential type 2 zone. The exception will recognize site-specific provisions for the existing single detached dwelling, including a minimum front yard of 3.05 meters from the required 7.5 meters, and a minimum gross floor area of 44 square meters from the required 74.3 square meters. The exception shall also prohibit the keeping or raising of livestock in the existing barn. The proposed retained lands will continue to meet the zone regulation requirements of the rural zone. All lands zoned environmental protection zone are to remain zoned environmental protection zone. The notice of public meeting was circulated and posted as prescribed by the Planning Act. The County of Hastings Planner has offered no objection to the proposed rezoning, and to date, no other written submissions in respect of the proposed amendment have been received. The bylaw to amend the comprehensive Town of Bancroft zoning bylaw has been drafted with support from the County of Hastings Planning and Development Department and is on today's agenda for consideration by Council. Staff recommend that the proposed zoning bylaw amendment application be approved to satisfy conditions of consent for file P 123/22. And that completes my report, Your Worship.
Thank you. Are there any questions from members of the council to Robin at this time? Seeing none. Are there any written or verbal submissions in opposition to the proposed amendment?
None received, Your Worship.
And again, is there any written or verbal submissions in support of the proposed amendment?
None received, Your Worship.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we'll adjourn from the public meeting. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is hereby adjourned from public meeting and reconvene the regular meeting of council. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Wiggins, and seconded by Councillor Eastman. All in favor, please? Thank you. Thank you. Planning decision following public meeting. Council's decision to refuse or pass an application to amend the zoning bylaw is to include a brief explanation of the effect, if any, that the written and verbal submissions relating to the application had on a decision. Zoning bylaw amendment application number 012-2023. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of Town of Bancroft is hereby approved zoning bylaw amendment application number 012-2023 to rezone lands legally described as Lot 5, Plan M30, Geographic Township, Dungann, now Town of Bancroft, County of Hastings, municipally known as 152 Old Lab Road, from rural RU zone to residential type 2, exception 5, R2-5. Can I have a mover and a seconder on that, please? Councillor Barry McGibbon and Deputy Mayor Mullet. Any comments or questions? All in favor, please. So pass. Thank you. Just a reminder, especially for Councillors Eastman and Wiggins, you need to raise your hand in the middle of the screen because I can't see them over to the side there. There you go. That's, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So presentations, delegations. Today we have Gwen Koch from Bancroft Community Transit to give us an update. Gwen is the Director of Operations, so I'm assuming Gwen is there. Where do
I wave? Right here.
I can see you very well, Gwen. Thank you.
Just let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, for sure. Hello, everyone. Actually, we could probably go to the third slide, which is introduction. Most of it is fluff there. And this next part's probably fluff too. I imagine everybody knows who the city is, but thank you so much for allowing me to come and visit and to present to all of you today an update. On October the 23rd, we held a transportation summit at our offices on 24 Flint, and we had representation from every municipality in the northern portion of the County of Hastings, including our warden, Bob Mullen. So we were very grateful for that. We had mayors, breeds, CAOs, managers, clerks, represented from every area. So this is kind of a segue to the delegations now that I'm being able to present. So thanks for allowing me to come visit. The purpose for today is to share updates with you regarding the direction for public transit providers, to provide information on who we are, what we do, to share information with you about what is on the horizon, to open the door to receive feedback from you about gaps in service, and to request continued support for public transit in most instances. I probably don't even need to turn my page, I can just read. So who is BCT? I think everybody knows who we are. We've been around since 2001. As it pertains to today's presentation, additionally since 2017, We've been providing public transit in the northern portion of the county of Hastings with a fixed route service in the town of Bancroft, fed by an on-demand service that shuttles in from Hastings Highlands and Wollaston, as well as part of Highlands East. Next slide. So we work closely with, excuse me, several organizations providing transit not only for individuals, but also for food delivery and other items. For instance, to name a few, Frozen Meals on Wheels in collaboration with Care North Hastings, Food Boxes in collaboration with North Hastings Community Cupboards. The grocery shopping program is now fully supported by BCT. So 2022, the grocery shopping program was something that was implemented during COVID, and we had some funding through the province, through Hastings County, and that is no longer. So knowing the individuals that we're serving, we couldn't stop. So we know that people, I've actually been out myself and done deliveries, and I'll tell you, if you ever go on an eye opener, come with me, I'll take you for a drive, and you'll understand why we never stopped supporting the service. And we're also a courier of sorts, picking up product or other items to support our area's nonprofit sector. So we often get phone calls from United Way or from organizations here. We've got something in Belleville, we have a driver in Peterborough, and he picked this up for us. So our drivers are busy little bees there. We also offer support to our community through our social enterprises, and I'll touch on that a little further. Items to note, a little over 74% of our annual budget last year went back into transportation supports for our community. That amounts to a total of $806,392 back to our community. This was a reimbursement to our drivers for volunteer driving, transportation for individuals who had no resources, delivery of groceries, food boxes, care packages, and again, going to name a few. We reiterate that public transit is for everyone, but we have also developed strong partnerships with many organizations to provide charters to different events. So shuttles for integration clients, shuttles for Centennial Manor for social outings such as the Leaf Tour, sponsored by the Lions Club this year, shuttles for special events organized by several partners in North Hastings, craft shows, community fairs, community events. As well, our on-demand transit for employment, our on-demand transit for shopping and appointments, etc. Our on-demand transit for Loyalist College. That fourth line should say, it was late at night when I typed this one, it should say on-demand transit for our churches and our special events, instead of repeating appointment twice. Transit for special needs students, as well as transit for co-op students, both from our elementary schools and our high school. Again, just to highlight a few. Thank you. So the number of clients served, these are not public transit stats. These are stats that are collected for our non-urgent medical transit. Our public transit stats are a little bit different, but I wanted to just kind of point out this number. About 280 residents used our non-urgent medical transit service last year. So obviously the lion's share of the supports that we offer, but many of our neighboring municipalities are in line and are also, when I look at the numbers for 2023, they have risen. So it's an essential service for sure. Our grocery and food box delivery, I know that number's hard to see, but 143 boxes or our grocery deliveries or food boxes. That was 143 households that we served. So there were more individuals, that's just the households that we delivered the groceries to, and that we were able to deliver food boxes to, and Frozen Meals on Wheels. Next one. Public transit stats. Our fixed route, which is the round and around service that you see. We had 7,621 boardings. We had utilized 2,470 vehicle hours. We drove 83,000 kilometers. Our operating expense for that fixed route service was $110,000. Our fare revenues that we collected were $8,500. Our specialized on-demand service, we had 7,982 boardings, 97,300 kilometers. Our operating expense for that service, $76,000, and our fare revenue for that service was $4,500 that we collected. Total kilometers that we traveled, 791,000 kilometers. Of that, the split between Bancroft and Belleville, because we do have a satellite office in Belleville, where we're operating the same type of on-demand, non-urgent medical transit service in Belleville in partnership with Quinte Access as well as Belleville Transit. So the split between Bancroft and Belleville with our volunteer drivers was 471,820. I always struggle with how do you say that? I don't know. So we'll just say 471,820 and Belleville 319,837.
Is that 2 days? 22, okay.
That's 2022. BCT social enterprises. So we have two social enterprises. We have our charcuterie studio and we have our Wild and Dog Cafe. And those enterprises help to support the Gatham service for our public transit system specifically. We're grateful for those. Because of the shortfall, obviously when you see some of the numbers and you see 110,000 and our gas tax allocation, which I think do I have that mentioned further? So our gas tax allocation for 2020, which goes up to end of March 2023, is $79,713. So when you see numbers like 110,000 and 79,000, you know that there's got to be money found somewhere. So developing the social enterprises have really helped us in kind of bringing some of the revenue back so that we can support these services such as grocery shopping and those individuals that have no supports in place. So being able to take them from A to B, helping to supplement our dialysis transportation, those types of transit that we have no funding for, it is an essential piece of our model. The town of Bancroft, obviously these numbers are probably, I think they're 2016 numbers, I think. The population, 3,881, and the kilometers squared, 229.56. Those numbers are important in the calculation of gas tax that we receive, as well as support from neighboring municipalities. I've had the opportunity to have delegation to Carmel, as well as Faraday, and they were wonderful delegations, and I've got more planned for the new year. So hopefully that number, in regards to the gas tax allocation, will increase if we are able to form partnerships and have more come to the table and be part of the transit system. So we're really hopeful, we're excited, and we're hopeful. So we'll wait and see. Hopefully in January we'll receive some excellent news and we'll be able to kind of report back. The areas of focus, the day that we had our summit, all of this information that you see came from everyone sitting around the table. That sheet was blank. And so I was really excited to see these guys huddled in their little groups and coming up with what are the gaps that they're facing and what is it that we can do to be able to focus on those areas. And so all of this is excellent information as we plan for the future. We know what's coming down the pipe, and we know what it is that we need to focus on. One area that we are trying to pilot right now, and it seems to be successful, is that instead of focusing on a fixed rate service, we're focusing on the on-demand service, and our clients are loving it. So they're calling us, they're saying, I have a doctor's appointment, or I want to go grocery shopping, I want to go to Food Line, I want to go to New Frills, I want to go to the bank. And we're picking them up, we're taking them there, they're calling the public transit driver, I'm ready, I'll be there in 5 minutes, and we pick them up and we take them home. So it means that there's always somebody in our vehicles. Instead of driving around looking for people or waiting for that individual, it means that there's always somebody in our vehicles. So, and they're loving it. I'll tell you, some of these clients they're almost jumping for joy. This is great, they've got the driver at their doorstep, and so so far it's been very well received, and so we're really excited about that. What is on the horizon? Some scary stuff, fleet electrification, and I'm going to be honest, I don't know a whole lot about how we're going to meet that challenge. Everything is about money, which we don't have a lot of, so it's a good thing. I'm not saying that it isn't, it's just for our rural service, it's a little bit scary. The expectation is that we will be fully electrified by 2030, or at least have had the model to have that, to have a charging station at our new location, to be able to service our rural area with maybe hybrid vehicles. That's kind of what we're looking at right now. But more on that as I learn more. Regional transit is another area that we're focusing on, and participation with our municipal partners. How do we get there? We get there by developing partnerships, by receiving financial support, and by communicating with our individuals, with riders, with the municipalities, with that we need. In summary, rural transit isn't a cookie cutter transit. It is unique and it reflects the community that it serves. We've created a model that strives to be self-serving, self-sustaining, but we know having support from all the communities that we serve would ease some of the burdens. The importance of having an affordable, efficient service is attainable, but we can only grow if we work together. That's what I have in regards to the presentation today. And just as a confirmation, Bancroft is the lead for our public transit flow through, and we're just confirming support for 2024 as well. Bancroft has contributed $7,000 typically to the transit system, and I'm not here to ask for any more. I'm just asking for the continued support. And as you do your budget deliberations, we're hopeful that it will remain status quo. We've been, I think we've appreciated, I know we've appreciated the support of this council, and that it's been an unwavering support. And I never have any issues with phone calls or you know, questions or concerns or being invited to the table. So I'm grateful for that, and I just want to, you know, kind of reiterate that we appreciate that support from Bancroft. So I don't know if there's any.
Thank you, Gwen. Is there any questions from the Councillor McGibbon?
Your fleet of vehicles, is it an aged fleet or is it fairly current?
Well,
and like, where do you get your funding for that? Obviously, our funding is for operations.
The funding that we get for gas tax helps to support 1.5 drivers. The funding that we get from the municipalities, with Wallaston supports us, they give us 1,000. Hastings Highland gives us 3,000, and then Civic with 7,000. Again, operations, right? We put it all together. We do have a pocket of funding where there are two new vehicles that will be coming hopefully in 2024. They will be like our ProMasters. Our vans, we have three 2019 vans, two that we bought new, and one that we were able to purchase from the VON. And then we have Bertha, which is the wheelchair van, which we revived of necessity. And the white van is called, there's a name for the white van too. And no one likes to drive the white van because the radio doesn't work, so heaven forbid, right? And then one of our vehicles is actually stationed in Melville. We have a wheelchair van in Melville as well. So it is middle road. We do a 5-year, the plan was a 5-year plan, but we're not going to be able to meet that with the 2019 vans that we have. There should be, we do have I forget the name of it, the fleet management document where we identify how many years that vehicle, how many kilometers. Our vehicles are very well serviced, so they are very well maintained out of necessity, because we know we can't just replace the ProMaster to, you know, when you're talking about $170,000 for a ProMaster to replace it, you make sure that is, every piece of dust is wiped off of every surface. But yeah, so it's middle. We have some older, some that will do us for a few more years, but we do have to replace. And we are looking at a couple other grants right now. The Rural Transit Solutions is one that we're looking at in partnership potentially with, you know, new onboarding of potentially, optimistically, of municipalities. So it's possible.
And I think it's just going to be a greater necessity as we move forward with rural transportation. For sure.
And in planning for electrification, right? So, you know, we buy a vehicle now. I know we've got several years, so it's not like anything we buy today is going to be a waste, but we have to think about that maybe in 3 or 4 years. We'll buy a vehicle. we have to buy something that's either a hybrid or an electrified model.
That'd be nasty.
Not looking forward to it.
Any other questions?
Just a comment, I'd like to comment that they do a good job and carry on. Not many municipalities have the service that you guys provide to Bancroft, so it's great.
Yes, thank you. We are definitely unique in all of I was talking to someone this morning actually, and there is no one that has a model like ours. So Bancroft has always been unique, and we'll try our best to keep it that way.
And I think your on-demand thing is great, because your stops are great, but people aren't always able to get to those, right? So when they can just call and you can pick them up wherever, rather than them try to get to where there is a stop.
Okay, well, we have a resolution before us. It says, be it resolved, the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is receive and file the Bancroft Community Transit presentation delivered by Gwen Koch. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Wiggins and Councillor Barry McGibbon, all in favor? So passed. Andre, I have a question for you here. Is this the time to put forward the motion on the annual $7,000, or will it just be included in the budget that it doesn't get missed this year?
We can make the resolution so that Gwen has that for a record if you like.
Sure.
For
Okay.
budget delivery purposes, yeah.
Who would like to put forth that resolution? Councillor Wiggins, I could have a seconder, please. Councillor Eastman, all in favor, please. So pass. There you go. You didn't come, but you got it.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, moving on. Number 9, adoption of minutes. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of Town of Bancroft is hereby approve of the minutes of the meeting of council held on November 14th, 2023 as presented. Could I have a mover and a seconder on that, please? Councillor Miles, Deputy Mayor, are there any comments or questions on that? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you. Adoption of minutes of committee and local boards. First one is Bancroft Business Improvement Area Board of Management. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is hereby receive and file the Bancroft Business Improvement Area minutes dated October 26, 2023 as presented. Can I have a mover and a second? Councillor Tracy McGibbon, you'll move that. Seconded by, could I have a seconder, please, from somebody on the floor? Councillor Wiggins, will you second those, please? I froze. My screen froze, so I could not tell if anybody was putting up their hand. Did I get a seconder there, by the way?
Yes, I second it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Doesn't matter.
Tracy, I don't know if you had any comments that you wanted to make with
We
respect
actually
to.
already talked about these minutes before the minutes were even out, so our last meeting we chatted.
Yes,
about
we
it.
did. Okay, good. All in favor, please. So pass, thank you. B, Committee of the Whole. We have a number of resolutions here. We'll treat one at a time. First one before us is be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft approve and file the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting held on November 22nd, 2023 and November 30th, 2023, respectively. Can I have a mover and a seconder on that, please? Moved by. If there's a hand up, I can't see it. There we are. Deputy Mayor and Councillor Wiggins. Is there any comments on those?
In front of your face.
Seeing none, all in favor, please. So passed. Next resolution, be it resolved, the Council of the Corporation of Town of Bancroft is hereby agreed to use the Hastings Counter trailer as provided by the county to be used as a dorm room located at Cleek Street location as proposed in the November 22nd, 2023 Committee of the Whole meeting. Mover and a seconder on that, please. Councillor Miles, seconded by. I can't see the hands. I got to go in front of the screen. Seconded by. So call out Jennifer, who the mover is.
So it'll be Val and Councillor Eastman.
Okay, thank you. I can't see the hands if they don't wave in front of the screen. Is there any comments or questions on that? I did allude to it in my opening comments. We're still waiting for the trailer to arrive here. We've done everything on our part that we can do. The building permit's been issued. Thanks to Hydro One, the hookup is there. We're waiting for the trailer to come. I was in contact with the county CAO this afternoon, and they're trying to expedite that as we speak. But they're dealing with a company out of Kingston, I believe. So anyway, that's the story. All in favor, please. So passed. Next, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of Town of Bancroft is hereby direct staff to take into account discussions from the pre-budget consultation meeting when presenting the 2024 budget. Mover and a seconder on that, please. Jennifer, you can call them out.
I move.
Councilor Wiggins and Councilor Berry.
Geez, I can't even get Jennifer to call them out. I can't see hands and I can't.
No one is cooperating.
No one is cooperating today. Okay. I think this is a conspiracy, but anyway.
Berry.
Any comments on that? Seeing none, all in favor, please. Next, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of Town of Bancroft is hereby agree and direct staff to implement necessary measures to onboard the Smart City Pilot Program as previously presented at the November 30th, 2023 Committee of the Whole meeting. Mover and a seconder, please.
Councilor Miles, Councilor Eastman.
Thank you. Any questions? All in favor, please. So passed. Thank you. Next one, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is hereby receive the water and wastewater rates study report as presented by Watson and Associates, Economists Limited, dated November 23rd, 2023, and further provide for recovery of all water and wastewater costs through full cost recovery rates and maintain reserve funds for water and wastewater services, and further approve the water and wastewater rates presented in Table 6.1 and direct staff to prepare and bring forward a new water and wastewater bylaw for adoption, and further direct staff to undertake an update of the rate study in 5 years or earlier if any changes occur with respect to development patterns, consumption patterns, capital needs, or operating costs. Mover and seconder, please.
Councilor Eastman, Councilor Berry.
Thank you. Any comments or questions on that? All in favor, please. Pass. Thank you. Next one, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of Town of Bancroft is hereby allow the use of a garbage bay at the public works yard on December 23rd, Saturday, December 23rd, 2023, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. for the North Hastings Holiday Hamper Program, with proof of applicable liability insurance, naming the Town of Bancroft as an additional insured for no less than $2 million in coverage. Could I have a mover and a seconder on that, please?
Councilor Eastman.
All in favor? So passed. Thank you. Be it resolved, the Council of the Corporation of Town of Bancroft is hereby adopt the proposed tipping fee schedule included in the November 30th, 2023 report as presented by the General Manager. Could I have a mover and a seconder on that, please? Councillor Miles, I see the hand there. I need a seconder on this. Councillor Barry McGibbon, any comments or questions on that? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you. And last but not least, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of Town of by direct staff to investigate the reduction in speeds on Detler Road by engaging stakeholders in a consultation and then drafting a bylaw for review. Could I have a mover and a seconder on that, please? Deputy Mayor and Councillor Barry McGibbon, all in favor, please. So passed. Thank you. Next, we have the Bancroft Community Safety and Wellbeing Committee. And before I read the resolutions or put it on tape, I'll ask the Deputy Mayor if he wishes to speak on this.
I will say a few words, if you don't mind.
Sure.
We appreciate, I don't know, hopefully you can hear me.
Yep.
Certainly appreciate Councillor Trace McGibbon coming speaking at our last meeting. That was a very worthwhile time that she has given to us to explain all the work that she and her friends have done to an individual. And just so it certainly shows how caring people can make a difference to some people. We hope it carries on. We had an interesting meeting, and we're looking forward to the new year.
Thank you. I'll read the resolutions before us. First one, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of Town of Bancroft is hereby receive and file the draft minutes of the November 29, 2023 meeting of the Bancroft Community Safety and Wellbeing Committee as presented. You'll move that, Deputy Mayor?
Yes, I will.
Seconded by Councillor Wiggins. All in favor, please. Thank you. Next, be it resolved the Council of the Corporation Town of Bancroft is hereby approve writing of a letter regarding the success story as presented by Tracy McGibbon at the November 29, 2023 meeting of the Community Safety and Wellbeing Committee and its circulation to our surrounding, it says counties, municipalities, etc. Can I have a mover on that one? Deputy Mayor will move that one again.
Certainly.
And Councillor Miles will second that. All in favor, please. Thank you. Passed. All that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is hereby approve the writing of a media release to be circulated through the Town of Bancroft social media channels. Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Barry McGibbon. All in favor, please. So passed. Thank you. Item D, stewards of Bancroft Eagles Nest Park. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of Town of Bancroft is hereby receive and file the minutes of the October 17th and December 4th, 2023 meetings of the stewards of Bancroft Eagle Nest Park for information purposes only. Councillor Miles, you will move that?
I will.
Can I have a seconder, please, on that? Councillor Barry McGibbon. Councillor Miles, would you like to speak on that, please?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We did sort of do a bit of an update at Cal regarding the Eagle's Nest, but what we have today that we didn't have before were the reports of the data for counting of how many people use the park. It didn't even start until sort of into August, so we know that there's even some data that's still missing. We are going to have this thing here though, and it's going to help us to continue to count. By the way, all these numbers have been divided by 2, understanding that there are, 2 legs going through, and that you can't, it doesn't count. It's dividing everything by 2. Clearly, there's a boatload of data that shows the park is extremely well used. It's interesting to note that after the park was closed, we had 2 days where we had 39 counts and 16 counts, so people are walking up from the bottom to enjoy it. The fall colors seem to make a big difference, as there was lots of usage in September. But again, it's just information that clearly shows the use of this natural resource that we have and the importance of us nurturing this park and making sure that, as you commented earlier, Mr. Mayor, looking for great opportunities to walk nature and have more trails and move in support with the Eagle's Nest for whatever kind of endeavors they want to bring within reason. For the good use of this natural resource.
So I do have a question. I noted in the minutes that there was some discussion on parking. And has there been any discussion at the committee level? I saw what was in there about ways to potentially expand the parking or any of that type of thing?
So the parking is 2 pieces, actually. One is the comment that I think I brought to the last meeting regarding handicap parking. And I think there's a way for us at the council town level in order to make sure that we have some designated handicap parking up there, some type of signage, something that allows for that to happen. Second is when we look at what these numbers are, we know that there are lots of cars that are around. There isn't enough parking on average during some of the peak periods between the top and the bottom. One of the members does have a suggestion regarding how we could improve the parking. I will make sure that I get a little more information to bring that the next time we have a chance to talk about the Eagle's Nest. We also, if we work with the development of the M&R land, we're hoping that on the Snow Road end, there will be additional parking on that side so that there will be access to the park from the back that will have some parking as well. So there is a need for us to find some more parking for sure.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, please. I'm wondering if we should have a separate resolution here to direct staff with respect to the creation of a handicap parking space as it's been noted in the report there. Would you like to put that?
Yes, I would. I'll put a resolution on the floor that council directs staff to indicate handicap parking up at the Eagle's Nest.
Okay. And somebody like to second that, please? Councillor Tracy McGibbon, all in favor, please. So passed. Thank you.
Can I ask a question on that?
Yes.
What is a fine for parking in a handicap zone in town?
Well, that's a great question, because that question has come up before with respect to on Bridge Street. And apparently, I think we have to amend our bylaw. And
I'd like to see it $1,500.
Yeah.
To me, that's, if you're that lazy, you deserve a fine.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not being mean. I think we don't have many spots and people need to respect it.
So, Andra?
Yes.
Would you, I believe this has come up before about with respect to Bridge Street, and I don't believe we have any provisions at the current time. Could you comment on that? And maybe I'm mistaken on that.
Yes, you're absolutely right. So we currently have no authority as a municipality to issue fines or tickets for anything related to traffic, parking, etc. The OPP handle traffic and parking offenses, and they are not likely to issue a parking offense notice under provincial offenses. We have identified the parking bylaw as an important bylaw that we need to bring back to council in 2024, and it's on our spring agenda to work through to bring that bylaw into our administrative monetary penalty system, which would allow us to issue fines for vehicles parked inappropriately, like in handicap spots in our town. We still need to meet all of the requirements of the Highway Traffic Act. We have to have the proper signage, the proper designated symbols on the ground, proper stall widths and all that kind of stuff. But as long as we meet all of those requirements, we will be able to issue a ticket under AMPS once we get that bylaw updated. And we hope to bring that to council in the spring for review and approval.
Good. Further to that, my question is, can we set the penalty, or does AMPS already dictate what the penalty would be?
No, we set the AMPS penalties based on what is fair and reasonable to correct the behavior.
Okay.
I agree with that, but I think Councilor McGibbon was jesting when he said $1,500. I hope.
I'm not. You know what? When you have elderly folks that have difficulties getting around and they have to walk for 200 or 300 and there's somebody that's totally healthy sitting in that parking spot, they need to be penalized to the utmost.
So that will, Deputy Mayor, I'll get to you. So that'll be a very good debate when that bylaw comes in as to what that penalty should be. Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
Yeah, just a question in regards to the AMP and the bylaw. Most places that when we needed it a year ago, the fine was roughly $300. But the question I have is, for instance, in parking lots, say business parking lots at Canadian Tire, No Frills, Foodland that do have handicap parking, can we? Do they have to give us permission, or can we actually ticket there on our own? I think that's the question that I'm asking, that we'll maybe get the answer from at a later date.
That's private property, so it falls under some different categories. I think we'd be hard pressed to issue a municipal penalty notice on private property. I don't think we could do that. We can investigate, but I'm relatively certain we probably can't.
Well, I know a few years ago, one of the businesses asked us to go and do it. This is a few years ago. And I think as long as we have the bylaws passed and we have permission to go on private property, I think then we'd like to do it. But as you say, we'll get those questions answered later.
Thank you. Councilor Wiggins.
I see this as a great subject that can be brought through our community safety committee and discussed there.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. All in favor, please. Thank you. Eastern Ontario Trails Alliance, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation Town of Bancroft is hereby receive and file the minutes of the Eastern Ontario Trails Alliance dated June 9th, 2023 and September 14th, 2023, respectively, for information purposes only. Councillor Eastman, you'll move that?
Yes.
And seconder, please. Could I have a seconder on that, please? Councillor Barry McGibbon. I know you probably have chatted about these minutes in the past because they seem to be old. I don't know if you have anything else that you would like to add or bring us up to date on, Councillor Eastman, with respect to EOTA.
I hope to have a report on the budget for next year, seeing what they're going to do about our bridge. But unfortunately, our EOTA president, or secretary, her husband just passed away recently, and the meeting was canceled. So patient, I'll have to wait till next month.
And we do offer our condolences on behalf of council to Cindy Cassidy on the passing of her husband. So.
On behalf of, they issued a card and we signed, council's committee signed the card and was presented on, which was very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor, please? So pass, thank you. F, North Hastings Economic Development Committee, be it resolved, the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is hereby received and file the minutes of the North Hastings Economic Development Committee dated May 5th, 2023 as presented. Councillor Miles, you'll move that. Seconded by, seconder, please. Could I have a seconder? Councillor Wiggins. Councillor Miles.
No updates from the last time we brought this up at COW. We were supposed to meet this the first Monday of December, but the meeting was pushed into January. So January brings the NEGDC.
Thank you. All in favor, please. Passed. North Hastings Public Library, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is hereby receive and file the minutes of the North Hastings Public Library as listed, as held in 2023, April 18th, May 23rd, June 20th, August 18th, September 19th, October 17th, and November 10th. You'll move that, Councillor Miles?
Yes, sir.
Seconder, please, on that from someone, Deputy Mayor. Any comments that you would like to make?
Not really, Mr. Mayor. Again, we talked about this at COW. This was just sort of getting caught up with our new staff, getting the minutes forwarded to council. We sort of that had been a bit of a misstep along the way, so it was brought up at the last meeting that we hadn't seen any. So this was really just to catch up over the last couple of months of the minutes. I think we've reported periodically about where the library stands, where the staff changes have been. And so I think it's just a matter of the minutes being attached to our agendas at the moment.
Okay, thank you. So I do want to bring up one other thing on the note that you sent recently with respect to the library board wanting to take their books back in-house. So I'm going to ask Andre this as well. Have we had an official notification from the board, or is your note supposed to serve as that? Do you know what the process is there?
So I have not received anything official from the board to this point to advise of that decision.
Because if that is to happen, it has to happen immediately, because we're about to enter the new year. And once we start in the new year, it becomes awfully messy to try to backtrack and pull out part of the new year. The other thing,
thank you. Thank you for asking the question. My expectation was that notice would have been sent to town the very next day. We certainly discussed sort of the process and that this needed to be dealt with quickly. I will follow up right away after our meeting today. My note to you was merely notice as the liaison between council and it was a board decision, and without question, there should have been something sent through in an official situation from letting town know about the direction of the board.
And the only thing I think the board should be made aware of is one of the reasons that we did do this in the first place, going back, was with respect to the audit fees and the encumbrances. And Wendell, I do see your hand. I'll let you speak in a sec.
Jen McPhee. And Mr. Mayor, so noted and so discussed.
Yeah, okay, because now the full audit fees will be passed on to the board,
Understood.
So, okay. Wendell, you had a comment.
This is not an easy process, if that is the request of the library board. That would take a lot of work to move that out of the town's books right now. And with year end fast approaching and T4s for the new year and payroll, it's not as cut and dry as sending a notice and it's done the next day. It's a process that would probably take months.
So it sounds to me like there needs to be a bit more consultation on this before it's adapted, just to make sure that the expectations and consequences are clearly understood by all. So I'll leave that with you, Councillor Miles, to have a discussion with maybe with your chair, with the chair of the board, and to echo Gwendolyn's comments there. Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor, please? Pass, thank you. I think at this moment we will take a 5-minute break and we will come back to some interesting stuff. Thank you.
We are unmuting.
I need a new clock. That was the longest 5 minutes of. Okay. Hang on. Is everybody here? Whoever's not here, speak up. Jennifer, are we ready to reconvene?
We are ready to reconvene.
Okay, we are reconvened. Item 12, business. Building purchases for public works. We have a resolution which I will read to put on the floor, then we can discuss it. Be it resolved, the council approves a recommendation to purchase 2 Toro steel building kits using funds from the road construction reserves, with 50% of the purchase price to be paid by December 14, 2023, and the balance due in February 2024. And further, the council approves a reserve allocation in the 2024 budget of $26,500 to the road construction reserve to fully cover the costs of the purchase. Could I have a mover and a seconder on this? Councillor Wiggins and Deputy Mayor, right there. I'm going to start this off by asking, since there was some work done on this in the past that was spearheaded by the Deputy Mayor, I'm going to ask to start the process with asking the Deputy Mayor for some comments.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, I think what people remember back in the previous term, we had passed a resolution and a time frame of when to get involved in a new workshop. There were many issues that came forward at that time with where we are presently located, and the fire chief put together a plan, and it was supposed to start in 2023. So we're a little bit behind on that. But we've always spoken and discussed the fact that if a building came up for sale at this time of year and the manufacturer is trying to get rid of them at a lower cost, we should look at it. So here we are looking at this at the purchase of these 2 buildings. But the looks of it, as far as the cost is concerned, there's a good reduction in cost as far as the building itself is concerned. My understanding is that the building comes as a steel building, no windows, no doors, no installation, electricity and wiring. All of that would be extra, which we would normally understand that it would be. I think we looked at previously at a meeting a year or so ago. We looked at where it would go on the ground at the Deptford Fire Hall Station. There's no support there. As well, we need, in order to build a workshop down there, we need storage, etc., for the sweeper and the lawnmower and all those things that we use within town. And the fire chief has put together at the same time what we would need to build at the fire hall in Bancroft to facilitate looking after that equipment. So these 2 buildings would sort of start us on the way of a new work yard. If possible, I'd like to make an amendment to the resolution. Whether right now or after discussion is fine with me, whatever you decide.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you on that. I just wanted to make some comments myself, and then I'm going to let Councillor Wiggins make some as well. I'm sort of half in favor of this, and I do not believe that. I think at our budget deliberation meeting, we made it at COW back in, I guess, November. We made a decision to, part of the budget deliberations, to proceed on the planning with respect to the fire hall and to get that going. I would like to see us do one of these buildings at a time and do it complete. I would like to see us do the fire hall building and get it completely done. There is absolutely no cost estimates in here for doing these completely. So as it stands right now, these buildings would come in and sit on the ground because we do not have any other funds allocated to do slabs, to do heating, to do insulation, to do wiring, etc. Even though the costs are not in here, I'm speculating that if we use the money that is in the reserves right now, we could probably purchase the building for the fire hall, do it completely, and make the changes there, and then move the, and then look for another opportunity for the rest of the chart. I'm really not in favor when these things come to our desk with such short notice and we have to make a decision that says we're going to pay this tomorrow. And we really do not have all the information with respect to the total cost. So I'm only making an assumption that we could probably purchase the one for the fire hall and to do the required work within the monies that we are available. But I'm not in favor of buying two buildings and leaving them on the ground for some future time, whatever that may be. I don't know when that would be. I'd prefer to see one. Let's get it going. And I still have a lot of questions about the suitability of this type of building. I'm not sure what the roof pitch is from the drawings because flat roofs do not work around here. How they are to insulate, heat, because the other thing is putting a building up is one thing, but we're all striving to reduce our carbon footprint and to keep the operating costs as low as possible. And I just don't have the information right now on that, but I might be willing to take a flyer on the one building. I'm certainly not in favor of doing both and leaving them sitting on the ground with no further action at this time. There's no money in the budget for them. Councilor Wiggins. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Stu. Your Honor, first of all, I want to thank staff and fire chief for putting this together. This has been a long ongoing procedure. Tested many, many times. The long range goal is exactly where we're going, and we started the process. I would like also to see an amendment where we do the total fire hall building this year. I realize that the arguing that our fire chief is done, he'll lose a bit of ground if he goes to one building instead of two. But I think with everything we have ongoing in town and the expenses we have to look at coming up, we have to still finish the fleet. We have the library on our plate. We have in the very near future the water tower. There's all kinds of expenses here. So I'd be afraid that if we bought these buildings, they would lay dormant for quite a while until we found the money to finish them. But I would be strongly in support of getting the one and turning the fire chief that other building up and going this year. And then for sure we can add on the second. Thank you.
Councillor Barry McGibbon, you were a bit involved with this for ongoing. Can we have your comments, please?
I guess my concern, to date, we spent over $1 million in rent. Rent the empty yard. And in our current contract, we're responsible for the building, the maintenance of the building, the repair of the building. The roof on the full bridge out front is ready to be repaired. We're probably looking at $200,000 to $300,000. We're going to be on the hook for. There's 5 boilers, only one that works. When that goes down, then we're on the hook for a heating system. Asbestos remediation, 25. All the asbestos has to be out. We're on the hook for that. I guess when you start to look at those numbers, it starts to get really scary. And I look at, we sold our old work chart for less than $500,000. We spent $1 million. That's expensive money. And we're just going to sit and wait when we have an opportunity here to save another $500,000. I guess for me, I really struggle, like, we're gonna spend $200,000 downtown just to make it pretty, not functional, that we have a chance to save $500,000. And infrastructure is the most important part of our municipality. Without infrastructure and I guess the strength of that, we have nothing in town. We have nothing to sell to anybody. Come to Bancroft, we don't have anything at all. And to me, you have to have a root system. It's like a tree. And I compare this all the time. You have government, which is the fruit and the crown of the tree, and it's up on the top, chopping at the root, which is industry and I see the same thing here. We're going to make a decision. It's cutting our feet out from underneath it. I don't know. I think our staff has done an awesome job. It's short term, but it shows some savings. And have a new public works man that dedicate his time to being the lead contractor go-to between him and Pat. Like, I think we're in a good position here to move forward. We're into a time when economy's slowing a little bit. You know what? I think we're going to get some contractors at a better price. Moving out of the COVID, we're on the downturn. And anyways, that's my opinion. I just see us. I think we really need to really have a hard look at this. I remember Mary Kavanaugh and I went 8 years ago to this park and met with Rinaldi, and we tried to get the work share. We had 4 or 5 examples of the government giving municipalities those work yards for $1. They said absolutely not, and they came back with $15 for work yard. And hey, we can throw up a brand new building for less than $2 million. Anyways, that's my opinion.
What is our size?
1 second, who's speaking? Now raise your hand and speak, please, and then I'll. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Councilor Eastman.
What is our commitment into a fixed lease? No.
I think our lease is mobile at any time, but
it can be canceled 3 days notice on either side, so we could be out in a service at 30 days notice. Or you should come along and offload that property or do something else with around 30 days.
But as long as we're in that building, we're responsible for everything that's in that building and on the ground.
You talk about heating and not for heating with toilet, but doing an inefficient building. The garage doors aren't insulated. If we're paying additional costs that you're not seeing as a council member, you're getting operational budgets for roads and parks. We're leasing a building that any investment we put into it is not ours. We're going to walk away. And as Councilor McGibbon has referred to, is the boiler goes down, same $60,000 or $70,000, $80,000 you're putting in for a heating system in a new building, you're going to invest it over there and walk away. These 2 buildings, we have a complete plan. It's laid out. It was the last time. This is not the first time these buildings have gone through this whole process. We've worked with this gauntlet, and it's gone different ways each time. We have invested time and effort. Our building committee has sat and laid out a timeline to these 2 buildings. We put the whole process up in under 3 years, starting with the one big building, getting it, and then the minute that we can reduce our reduction or risk by not being in those buildings, that's money in our pocket. Here we move out $80,000 we're paying a year. Yes, it shows up in our budget as $35,000 because we have a partnership with another company that's augmented. So we're paying $80,000 a year, whether you like it or not. That's $80,000 in our pocket that you can put towards a loan. I've worked with our treasurer on the numbers. Start this process. We pull the pin on the building. That's the pieces. We've identified that at the building committee that we need to cover on this size, on that side. The 500, 50 by 200 down to Dungann and 40 by 80 Bancroft. That's the biggest piece. That's the shell. We put the shell up. We can start. Jake and I have sat and talked about this in a short tenure here already, and is on board. We can piecemeal this out. take on sections, we can work with one, come up with a business plan, dollars, and finish that before we run. What we have to is someone in on this project, walk away.
So Chief, my comment is, we have not been presented with the total cost here. I think it's irresponsible for us to make a decision to go ahead and do something. Are we talking an extra $1 million to finish these 2 buildings off? I have no idea. And then we would need a treasury analysis of where we're going to get that money for. My point is, we already have close to $400,000 sitting that we could, I'm assuming, do the fire hall and do it completely now. But for me to vote on a blind proposal, I don't think it's very responsible from the council side. Yes. Yes, Jake.
Yeah, I just want to go on further with what Pat was saying is the plan that's in place would be, we would be the general managers on this project. And like you said, he's doing it together where products and materials will buy us as a town, we'll be paying a huge markup on them. When you get into a general contractor who's hiring subs, there's a sub profit, there's a general contractor's profit. So with the plan that is in place with this, there's a huge savings in the construction costs as well.
But we still don't know what the costs are. That's my point is, we still do not know what the costs are. And that it's going to take to finish this off completely. In my mind, this should have gone back to the building committee with the proposal to have it vetted out, to have it land on our desk a few days before council and having to make a decision to lay out money by tomorrow. I have an issue with it. Councillor Wiggins.
Excuse me. Plan, I think, always was to do the fire hall first and do the Dungann part later. And I believe this is a step in the right direction. However, have 2 buildings sitting, I don't know for how long, as a future investment, can't afford to just buy something because it's on sale. I wonder, is there any way, just quick off the top of your head, but from the treasury and from staff, is there any way that we can buy the 2 and finish the fire hall this year?
Excuse me, Councillor Wiggins. Deputy Mayor, could you mute yourself and then when you go to talk, unmute? Thank you. Yeah, it was causing some background noise. Sorry, Councillor.
I'm just wondering from staff and treasury, like, I hate to walk away from the 2 buildings. I think you've done a great job securing that deal. However, I do want to see 1 done. So I'm wondering, is there any possibility that we can get the 1 up at the fire hall as well as purchase the other building? Do you see that as a possibility, or is that out in left field?
It can be done, but we're going to have to put the finances to it from our 2024 budget in order to allocate money to put the building, the 40 by 80 up. We could purchase the 2. We still have great work to do. We have some other components that can be undertaken this year as part of our initiatives to prep for everything, and then have a solid, complete plan that's brought to be able to take and put everything all up in a time and matter in a 2-year period. To get 1 building up, and you could start with the 40 by 80 shell and get it up this fall. It doesn't take long to do your math. Like, your floor slab for that 50 by 20 is approximately $40,000 in concrete. Like, it doesn't take long.
Those are the numbers that we don't have, so.
No, I mean.
And we have to build an adjoining building too, right?
The adjoining pieces, that is all something that needs to be designed, but we have to anchor it with something first, so we know what we're working with. We can't just keep surmising we're going to put a 40 by 60. Is it 50 by 40? Like, at some point we have to pull the trigger on committing to the buildings, because we've identified the Butler building system as the ideal building for what we need for operational purposes for our parks and our roads buildings, to be able to store our equipment, to work on our equipment, to have the adequate height, all those things.
Well, that's it. Like, we don't know how wide the buildings are. We don't know what the cost to put the doors and windows in. Like, this is to me, it's a good start for sure, but that's a lot of dollars to commit to storage.
And the other thing to add to you, Councillor Wiggins, anything like this should be going through Treasury to let us know. We need to know what we're going to spend, and Treasury has to tell us where we can get the money from. So for us to approve this is very blind in my opinion. I would really like to proceed. I think we can do the one building at the fire hall and get it done 100% with the money that we have available. But I have no idea where we're going to get the money from, and we have other commitments. We have the library, as you mentioned, this year, etc. So I'm not in favor of both. I'm most certainly in favor of proceeding with the plan that we outlined at our last committee meeting, which was to proceed on the fire hall portion of this one. We did not mention about doing both at our last meeting, which was just a little while ago, which, by the way, was going to budget deliberations. We're not even at budget deliberations and we're jumping the gun. Gwendolyn, I'll let you make a comment.
Yes, Dondra and Pat and Jake and I have discussed this proposal, and we just brought the proposal as buying the buildings as phase one, because we didn't know what council's take would be on spending more money than the initial purchase of the buildings. And I really account buying the buildings at this bargain basement price for superior buildings as no different than the town paid for all the engineering costs of the connecting link to York River Meets. And that's all pre-planning initiatives, which if a grant does come off onto the shelf, that we can pull this plan into a grant application very quickly as a turnaround, because the grants haven't been as robust as years past. So as treasurers, we're all expecting more grants to come down the pipe, so to speak. So if this is already in the works, then we have a shovel-ready project to go on if we need to put a grant application in. So that's why I supported it wholeheartedly, because it would be a grant-ready, shovel-ready project to be done. And then we could work out the finer details of a phased-in process of each year going forward in budget talks to roll it out. It's been...
Let me interject here. I'm hearing two different things. I'm hearing what you're saying. Well, fine. But I'm also hearing about starting work on them. And these are two different things. So you're mentioning about getting the buildings and having them here when money becomes available. And the other scenario that I'm hearing is we're going to get these buildings and it doesn't cost that much to put them up. So I'd like to know what the actual plan is that we're voting on here. Are we voting that we are going to purchase these and they're going to sit? Or is there the intention that we think that we're going to be putting these up? And if we are, where is the money coming from?
I believe that if council wants one of those buildings up in 2024, as per the discussion here today, that we could find the money within the reserves and potentially borrow within our own reserves like we were going to do for other projects in 2024, and that we could roll out some sort of payback plan in the operational budget going forward in each budget year.
If that's the case, I'd like to see that in a report. The report that we have right now, in my opinion, is very incomplete. It's not telling us enough to make a decision, if whatever the plan is. Councillor Miles.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
Sorry, done.
Councillor Miles.
No, I was just saying my comment to that was because this was a time-sensitive matter, we were going to bring this forward, and then if we had further budget talks that will still be happening for 2024, we could bring that forward in the finalization of the 24 budget.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'm really torn. I respect that when the phone rings and somebody calls and said, look, you can have something at, you know, better than half off. My first thought is Some things are like, why is this happening? Like some things that are too good to be true or too good to be true. How long have they been sitting at their site?
They're actually on the line right now. These were spoken for buildings that someone else has walked away from.
So they're not even constructed, they're not sitting in space, they're not sitting on the ground somewhere already,
No,
they're not.
we can still pick and choose our colors for trim and wall cover, outside colors, all that sort of stuff.
That's good to know. Is that in here anywhere? No. So, I am struggling to, by the way, I think that it is a goal we want at the end of the day. But, and I did ask the treasurer earlier, you know, where did we stand? And we could pay for these, but I am sort of in the same space of, I don't have enough information to make a real informed decision, except to say, we could buy 2 really cheap buildings. Awesome. But that doesn't provide enough insight to what the real rest of the piece is. Is there a way that we can reserve these for 30 days or 45 days that then allows our treasurer and staff to give us a bit more insight as to what some of the rest of the costs might be? And I don't disagree with the mayor's statement, by the way. I think the commitment to the smaller building is less risk than both buildings and then what happens with them sitting. I'm really torn. I want to say, yes, I respect the amount of your responses to how quickly a real deal might be available for town. I really respect that. And I think that, you know, you're right. We sort of go like, we say no, and in 6 months are we kicking ourselves because we didn't take this opportunity? But I do feel yucky. I feel like I haven't got any insight to what is the cost to finishing 3,200 square feet completely. Is it another 300,000? Is it another 500,000? Is it? And I don't have any confidence around what that next piece is and what it feels like. And I get paying the province for that crappy old building. That is not a win strategy for us. I totally get that. I don't feel confident about being able to really say for sure. For both buildings, I would feel, but I can support the smaller one because it's not going to hit us as much. But at the end of the day, I'm just feeling like I don't have enough information to make a really good choice. And I'm sorry, because I get and I respect the effort that goes into bringing a really good opportunity to council. So thank you.
So some of the problem with that, and this is why it's stayed at the building committee, because we've gone round and round and round with this, is that we can't say we're going to put 40 by 80. In our binder, I have a binder that's that thick. It's been circulated to council in the past. It had everything from 22 or from 2020 moving forward to 23. Originally, the first time we done it, laid out when everything would happen and how the process worked. But we don't ever get past the yay, we want to build a building. So here's your opportunity to pick the 2 buildings and commit to the 2 buildings, which is the initial shell, which is probably 60% of the project. Is picking the 2 big buildings. So then you can go to a heating contractor and say, what are we going to put in here for a heating system? Is it in-floor? Is it radiant and mixed with in-floor? Is it heat pump? Like whatever. But nobody's going to work with us until we have something that they can work with. These buildings come with the architectural drawings, so you can hand it to a mechanical guy who can do your heating and your air conditioning. Then you get the costs. But we at some point have to commit or just fold it up and be content to stay at the work share, because we're doing this round and round and round. This started in 15, this is 23.
And so you have a building here, you have a structure, you have an amount of square footage. You said 40,000 for concrete. What's the rest? I mean, where is so you have a building, you have a design, you now know exactly what's available to us. What if we took that and provided, how's it going to attach to the fire hall? Yeah, I'm talking about that building. The 10,000 square feet, is it going to go at Dungann? Is it going to go, where's it going to go?
It's at Dungann, and that's all landed on the council tables in years previous past. Yeah,
fair enough. So,
I just want to interject one moment here, is that this is a new council, and the new council needs to be provided with the same information. Just because it was at an old council does not mean that everything is exactly the same or everybody is up to speed. So with all due respect, all the information has to be presented to the new council. Sorry, Val, I wanted to interject on that.
No, that's fine, I was running on anyways. I mean, really, that's where my space is, that's all, so it's hard.
What you have
I can't
before
even
you
decide.
is a report that there's an opportunity to purchase 2 buildings, buy them as phase 1, as one says, make the purchase, they get delivered, put on site, and then we build the rest of the plan around that. That's council's decision today. If you want the 2 buildings, it's yay or nay, and if it's nay, so be it, it's nay. And then we go back to the drawing board, but at some point, the drawing board needs to move forward. So at this point in time, it's, the purchase is this, and if we want, we buy it, if we don't, we call the guy back tonight and say, thank you very much, there's other buyers.
Will Toro allow us to buy just 1 building?
Not likely,
But you don't know the answer to that question?
not right off my head, not at the prices that are quoted in this, because your 40 by 80 is only costing you technically $40,000 if you look at the overall picture.
Well, it says 129,000.
Yeah, so you'll pay 130 plus shipping and freight. You'd have to go right back to the drawing board to try to and pay for your drawing and your engineers and all that other stuff, so.
So the
it's
1
a
building
complete-
won't come with that?
Nope, you'll have to go back and negotiate all this again. So anyways.
If I can, Paul?
Yes, Wayne?
I'd just like to, just the numbers, I don't have them right here in front of me, but I'm quite sure Pat's got them memorized. So if we did go from the difference of 1 building to the 2 buildings, what are we actually at risk here? Like, we all said, okay, basically, everybody's in favor of the 1 and doing it, but the second building to buy at this reduced rate, I believe, is around 200,000, isn't it, for the map or Dungann?
The building in Lamab is 350. The one in town is listed at $130,000. We took, so that with tax and freight and everything, it came up to 579. We've negotiated with them and got them down to 400,000. Shipping and architectural drawings and the erection drawings are all included in this deal.
So what I'm saying is, in my quick math, if we spent 200,000 on the one in Bancroft at the fire hall, what we're talking is really $200,000 for the other building to have it on standby. And also, from what I heard, is the Treasury Department says in the 24 budget, she figures that we can set aside money to finish the one in Bancroft, right? So I think
If you approve it.
if we approve it, that's great. But anyways, that's why I just want to get that number out there, that we're not talking 400,000 or whatever, we're talking really 2 we're dancing with.
No, how do you get that, Wayne? I don't get your math here.
The package deals, so if you break apart the package, you don't get the
You're not
deal.
gonna get the deal.
You don't.
I know, but what I'm saying is, if we said scrap this and go back and buy 1, it's gonna be roughly 200,000.
It'll be 130,000 for the
Plus.
130 plus engineering plus shipping, freight, that sort of stuff.
So that's what I'm saying,
And then
roughly
when you go to
200,000.
the bigger building, then it's gonna be a significant difference, because.
I know, but what I'm trying to do is say is, if we buy 1 building, we're not gonna get the good deal you got. So you're looking at $200,000 for the 1 building.
Probably.
Okay, so what we're talking here is we're getting a building in for Dungann with hopefully in 2 years that is valued at around 700,000, we're getting it for 200,000.
Yeah, however you wanna split it, you can look at it that you're, right now, it lists at 350 and the one in town lists at 130. We've negotiated it down, it's all said and done, it's 390 plus taxes. And you can say that we got the one in Dungann for 350 and we paid $40,000 for the other 3,200 square feet. Or you can reverse it. Or say
2 and 2.
Or 200 for each, like.
And I think a good example of the 50 by 200 building is North Kawartha Workshare. When you drive, that's almost a spitting image. There are hardly any windows. The windows are in the doors and in the man doors. There are no other windows in the building, except for in the
security division.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a Butler building. It's the same thing. It can be added on after at any time. That's the nice part about this. But those buildings don't come along every day. That dimension of a building. The next building might be 120 by 180. And it really doesn't maximize the best usage of a building. This building is perfect for our graders, our plow trucks. Like, you couldn't have got any luckier at getting the dimensions. And I guess that's some of the reason that we're a little excited about this.
But we still don't have the costs, Barry. We still do not know the costs of doing this. We still do not know where we're getting the money from in conjunction with the other projects that we've got to do. Like, we've complained over the years about things coming to the council table at the last minute without proper evaluation. I'm not saying these aren't a good deal. Don't get me wrong. I just want to know, what is the total cost? Where are we getting the money from? And when and how are we phasing this in? I do not have that information in front of me. I do not have the information that I need to make a proper decision.
Mayor?
Councillor, sorry, Councillor Eastman, I can't see your hand when you're off to the side there. Go ahead.
I wonder if we go back to the suppliers and ask them for a 3 week cost extension on this for us to make a real good decision on it, because I'm concerned about spending taxpayers' money on that building that's going to sit there, for example. But on the same token, I don't like paying rent to something that we're potentially down the road with our luck, the way it's going, that we're going to have total more expenses like a roof, et cetera, on that out there. So I think to make it a firm, educated, and make it that we can support our decision to the taxpayers, that I think we need to know fully costs. I wonder if we can get that within have a 3 week moratorium on it.
Councillor Tracy, be given.
I would think, knowing that our staff know that that council doesn't like things sprung on them last minute, that they would have done their research to find out if we could have a longer time period than 1 day or 2 days. So I trust that that's exactly what's happening. I also trust that if you say that we will be able to put this through, and I believe that we can, and I believe that we will. I think rather than look at it too good to be true, I think we need to look at it as this is a blessing. These things don't come along. Like, when you look at it, it's $513,000 in savings. We're paying less for 2 buildings than we would technically pay for the 50 by 200, which is $780,000. So at the end of the day, I would think our taxpayers would be like, well done, you took an opportunity. We can just say no and then pay $500,000 or $600,000 more later. That's not really, I think, a wise choice. And yeah, renting from the province hasn't really seemed to be a great, yeah, it's helped us, it's gotten us by. But I think when you have an opportunity to buy something for yourself and have something that is actually ours and not
what bothers me, though, is we're deviating from a process that we had established. We already, at our last meeting, our budget meeting, we had decided to give to the budget process the fire hall building. Here, now we're totally disregarding that. We're jumping into 2 buildings. We don't have the total cost. We don't know when we're putting them up. Sorry, I'm from Missouri. You got to show me that that this can work into a budget, or we've got the reserves. We haven't had those reports. We don't know exactly, maybe somebody does, but this has not been presented to us exactly where our reserves are, what they're targeted for, and what the long range plan is. And as I say, we've got a library building as well that we don't know the total outcome of. So I just don't think I've been given enough information. So,
if I can, is there any possibility to extend the 14th a few days at all? That's hard.
Because they already have other buyers lined up to take them, so.
Everybody,
you couldn't get a week extension that we could.
We got a week extension to get us to council from when I started negotiating originally with them on these 2 buildings.
Like, it would be nice to know ballpark what the building between is going to cost, what the building, the floor is going to cost. Like, rather than just issue, like, I don't think, and all of us around here support the idea. Don't get us wrong. And I know for myself, I strongly appreciate all the work you've been done. But at the same time, it's that unknown. If we approve $400,000 today, what is the cost to complete that? Is there any ballpark? Like, is it 200,000 more? Or is it 400,000 more? Like, that's the type of information I think we need. I don't know how we get that, unless, have you got any idea? Can you give us a ballpark from your experience, roughly, what, an idea?
Well, it all depends on, we don't have the engineered plans to go out to get
Well,
the further information, right?
You're looking at, by the time you put your rebar and your heating system in the floor, say both buildings were $100,000 for the concrete floors. Average, so maybe one might be 125, one might be 80. Well, let's just say you did 100,000 for the floors of these buildings, and that includes your footings and everything you need to do.
My main concern with the one at the fire hall, like, if we buy that building, how much, like, we've got this kind of plan covered. How much on the outside, roughly, what might we be looking at trying to raise? 200,000?
You'd be looking at probably 10,000 a door. So how many bays are you looking at?
The one there would be 4 bays.
Four bays, so it's 40,000.
There's 11 bays in Dungann.
Oh, no, not, leave Dungann.
No, but.
Yeah.
You gotta know your building to work within it. It's just plain information that you.
But all we're trying to grasp is if we buy these, which I think is a good deal, but I'm wondering how much more we need to go with it. So if you got 40,000 for 4 doors, you're gonna have hydro.
Yeah,
another 30.
hydro's gonna be another 30.
So that's 70.
Plumbing and stuff like that. Throwing it on right now is, I understand that, looking at these numbers and you could probably look at another, 250,000 to finish each building.
Well, I'm not talking each, I'm talking.
Okay, so 250,000 to finish the one up there, but I don't know.
Okay, Deputy Mayor had his hand up. Charles? You have to unmute yourself, Charles. Unmute yourself.
Found it. There we go.
Thank you.
Okay. Just going back to the building committee. Pat and I talked about the building committee must have been a month ago, but he's had his hands full with the communication changeover, so that we just didn't have the time frame to look at the building. I've got 2 concerns, and the one concern is where we are now. We're responsible. My understanding is if the heating system collapses, which we're down to 1 out of 2, we're going to have to repair that. We're going to have to repair the roof if it starts to leak. And then looking at these 2 buildings, if we don't do the 2 of them at once, but lose the savings on the buildings, I'm sure. And if we don't have the building, we don't get the engineering drawings and all to work with. So yes, I would like to have close figures with the costing, but I don't think we've been any closer figures if we end up with the building. Now, I was going to make an amendment before, and I'll put it forward if it doesn't go, but my amendment would be that with the purchase of these 2 buildings, that the smaller building must be erected in 2024.
I'll second that motion, Charlie.
Hang on a sec here. He hasn't made we still don't know the cuts. The treasurer was talking about you buy the buildings and we're going to wait till we have money. Now we're talking about buying buildings and erecting them. Which one is it? What is the plan here and what is the cost? That's all I'm asking. I'm hearing 2 different scenarios here, and to me, this should all be vetted properly through Treasury. I'm going to call the vote on this, and I'm going to ask for a recorded vote as well.
I want to comment. You're a little bit hypocritical yourself, Mr. Mayor.
Why?
You sat here and said you would support the building of the fire hall with no numbers, no cost.
I'll tell you why.
And you are willing to do the other. Listen to me. I'm listening to you.
You're out of order.
Listen to me.
You're out of order.
You are a hypocrite because
you are out of order. You are
willing to move forward
You are
and
out of order.
make a decision on something that there are no known numbers on, yet you won't make a decision because there are no known numbers.
Because
To me,
if you listen
it
to
is
me what I
pretty
said,
odd.
I'm going to repeat
You're
what I
not
said.
willing.
I said I
think out
would.
of the
I said there was
possibility.
enough money in the reserve. In my opinion, if we spent 150,000 to 175 on the one building, that there was enough money in the reserve to complete it, assuming that might be 200,000. There is 360,000 in the reserve. We had the money in the reserve, in my opinion. I don't have those educated numbers. We do not have money in the reserve to buy both buildings and complete them. That is what I said. I'm going to call for a vote, and I'm going to ask for a recorded vote, please, to the clerk.
What about Charlie's amendment?
He can do it. He can do an amendment after the vote. You can do any other amendment you wish. We can vote down the original, and then we can vote on the original, and then if somebody would like to put forward another amendment or another motion, they're free to do so.
If I may, Worship, do you not, I would lean to the clerk on this, do you not do the amendment first?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you vote the amendment first.
So I would move that amendment to, that we need to erect the small building in 2024.
I would
So,
second that.
I just want to be clear. Are you saying purchase both and erect the small?
My amendment, well, I don't think you can change the original motion, I don't think. So
When you're doing an amendment, you can do whatever you want. We just need to be clear on what the amendment is.
my amendment is to build the smaller building in 2024.
Are you saying purchase both and erect? Is that the amendment?
Well, my amendment would be just to erect the small building at the fire hall in Bancroft in 2024.
So I'm unclear.
You don't want to, you want to pass this motion as such, plus an amendment. Is that right, Charles?
Yes.
I don't think you can do both at the same time. You have to make a clean amendment and then go back and vote on the original.
Well, that's what I thought. My amendment was just to simply, is to build the small building in 2024.
There's nothing to do with him, whether we purchase the two buildings or not.
Well, it's, yeah, so ties in, so we buy both and then.
Deputy Clerk say to that.
So to confirm, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Deputy Mayor, so you would pass the existing motion on the table and then add at the end and further to build a small building in 2024. Is that correct?
I believe so. I couldn't hear you very well, but I'm saying we build a small building in 2024 if we purchase the two.
Yes. Okay, understood.
And we have $250,000 over and above the purchase?
We could bring that forward from the reserves.
Reserves specifically for buildings?
No, we'd probably have to borrow from the special initiatives reserve.
Which is for the downtown core?
As the whole,
As a whole, and what is that reserve sitting at? I should remember, you just told us. 1.6.
I don't have,
Please, I would like to know that.
I gave you all the reserve information on your last meeting in November as an amendment, as a attachment.
Paul, my batch is gone. I gotta leave.
Madam Clerk, could you read the amendment again, please?
So the notice as read is the existing resolution, and then at the end adding, and further that, we build a small building in 2024.
And if this battery.
If these batteries dying, we should vote there.
Sorry, I couldn't hear what Jennifer's saying.
I just repeated the resolution for George.
Yeah, and I couldn't hear.
So it's the existing resolution as written, and then including the amendment at the end and further
to build a small building in 2024.
Purchases to, step two is building the second small. Oh, we lost him.
Oh, no.
So did he, I don't know how this works now because he's gone. And did somebody second that?
Yes, I second it.
Okay. But he can't vote. He's not here.
We do have in our procedural bylaw to hold when we've lost a council member. Can we go into recess and see if he can rejoin?
Sure.
Battery's dead, we can't find us.
So we can call him on the cell
We
phone.
can try to give him a minute and see if he'll come through. I believe procedural is 10 minutes.
Okay.
Go into recess. Hi, Charles. I'm just gonna get everybody's video back up here.
I don't know if this is gonna last long on my end.
Good or bad, get it out.
I can see me, that's all I can see.
You're looking good, okay.
Yeah.
A little bit of a delay there, I see. Paul, are you-
Switch-
There he is.
Okay, where are we?
Oh,
Everyone's gonna call if you're ready to reconvene.
Ready to reconvene.
Paul, did you want me to read the motion on the floor? And we'll ask, I assume you wanted a recorded vote?
Yes, please, and read the motion, please.
The full motion? Be
Yes,
it
please.
resolved, be it resolved that council approves the recommendation to purchase 2 Toro steel building kits using funds from the road construction reserve with 50% of the purchase price to be paid by December 14th, 2023, and the balance due in February 2024. And further, that council approve a reserve allocation in the 2024 budget of $26,500 to the road construction reserve to fully cover the cost of the purchase. And further, that we erect the small building in 2024.
Sorry, I missed the last part.
And further, that we erect the small building in 2024.
Okay, thank you.
I will read council names. If I can have each person look at me, put your hand up for a yay, no hand for a nay. So I'll have Councillor Eastman.
Yay.
Councillor Tracy McGibbon. Councillor Valerie Miles.
Yay.
Councillor Barry McGibbon.
Yay.
Councillor Wiggins.
Yay.
Deputy Mayor Charles Mullet.
yay.
And Mayor Jenkins.
Nay.
Okay, motion is carried.
Thank you. Move on to next item, which is Experience Ontario Grant. Resolution, of course, is be it resolved, the council of the corporation, the town of Bancroft directs staff to apply for the Experience Ontario 2024 grant for the Bancroft Rockhound Jamboree. And that's Wendellin's. Wendelin, please.
Yes, so there's a very short window for this application to take place. And we've looked at it to apply again this year for the Jamboree. And we have a meeting set up next week if council approves this to get the application in on time for the early January.
Great. I think we need a mover and a seconder on this. Councillor Tracy McGibbon and Councillor Wiggins, all in favor, please. Thank you. Item C, vehicle purchase. So I've got a procedural question here. This is a late add to the agenda, I believe, this item. Is that correct?
No, I believe that was included in the initial agenda for,
Okay, I didn't see it on the original one. Okay. It says here, be it resolved, the council of the corporation of the town of Bancroft allows the treasurer to create and post a tender for the purchase of 2 SUV hybrids for the building bylaw department and the roads department. So I need a mover and a seconder to put this on the table, please. Councillor Barry McGibbon and Councillor Wiggins. And this is Wendelin as well.
So right now, the Parks Department has 2 vehicles out of service. So it's proposed with our preliminary budget talks, to get parks back up and running a bit at the beginning of January and move the 2022 Chevy pickup truck that's a 2500 into the Parks Department, and then move the 1999 Ford F-350 from Lakeview Fire Hall into the Parks Department, and then have a SUV purchased from the Building and Bylaw Department, reserved from surpluses. And then also one of the requests is from the Roads Department, because that original 2022 2500 came from the Roads Department, is to add a complement of an SUV hybrid there as well, for carpooling of going to either pick up parts or go to a job site or something of that nature. But it wasn't deemed that we needed a pickup truck there, but a smaller vehicle that was more cost efficient, fuel wise, etc. So that's the proposal. And I felt that if we went out for tender for 2 vehicles instead of 1 right now, then we would probably get a better deal. And staff felt that a color wasn't important. Whatever's on the lot at this point in time would be sufficient for their needs.
So we're looking at a 2023?
It could be a 23 or 24, whatever is on the lot, and whatever we don't necessarily have to take the lowest tender, but something I've already got the tender package prepped if council approves.
So just a point of clarification before I open up for questioning here. The one for building will come out of the surplus within the building department, correct? The one for
and then roads, then the Parks Department would also transfer $5,000 towards that purchase, because the 2022 is a fairly new vehicle.
Right.
Have a little bit of a cost recovery there.
Okay, fine. The second vehicle for Public Works, where's the money coming from for that one?
We would propose that would probably be a borrowing situation that we've talked about in the past from reserves instead of debt financing it. So probably from the corporate, the initiatives reserve.
So we cannot move money from, you have to spend the money within the building department, if I'm correct, that where that surplus is. You can't move that around, correct?
Council can move it around, but really it should stay with the department. Council can at any time can move or reallocate any reserve if they so desire.
So we can move money out of the building reserve? I thought it had to stay within the building department and be spent within the building department.
Well, normally any surplus or deficit would stay with the department, but if council does a review of all of their reserves and they deem that there's a reserve that was made up 20 years ago that is no longer relevant, they can collapse that reserve, for example, and then reallocate it to another reserve.
I thought there was something in an act or legislation that stuff within the building department surplus had to stay within there. Am I wrong?
There is reporting that has to go to the province for the building department. I guess what could happen is the potential of the $5,000 of the residual. If council doesn't want to see that, then they could change that, and then building would fully finance the full purchase.
Well, then my question is, I understand that there could be a healthy surplus in the building department. Why couldn't we do both vehicles out of the building department?
Then they would both have to be, you could borrow from the building department reserve, but if you finance them from the building department reserve, then they'd both be deemed building department vehicles.
But I thought you just said we could move a surplus out of the building department.
You could move a physical amount of money from any surplus to another reserve. But it wouldn't be, the building department would buy both vehicles. You would have to deem that amount moved to the other reserve first.
But the sum would come out of the building.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so it's just.
It's
So
just
then
how it's
Favorite number.
allocated.
We would not require any financing if we were to do that.
That would be a council decision, yes. If that's the way you would like to see it.
No, I wanted to clarify the options, that's all. Councillor Wiggins.
I just wonder, like, we're talking one for, I assume our building, bylaw officer.
Yes.
Is all he needs is a vehicle, that's one, and I think that's good, and that frees up his half ton. The other one is for the roads.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering how efficient that is. We've always used a half ton. Like how efficient an SUV would be there.
We've always had a 2500, which is,
Half ton, whatever.
no, it's 3/4 ton.
Whatever.
So anyways, which is less fuel efficient. And it really was never utilized fully, that pickup. It was more used as a transportation vehicle from job site to job site, et cetera, where you don't need a gas guzzling 2500 to go from work site to work site when you can use an all-terrain SUV all-wheel drive.
Sure.
Right, because there wasn't a whole lot of use in the back of the pickup.
I guess my thought is.
One sec, Councillor McGibbon. I think Councillor Miles had her hand up.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The building bylaw reserve has that negative number.
Oh, that's because we paid out the loan on the 2022 Chevy 2500, but we haven't put that money in from the 22 audit surplus yet. That.
Oh, we were waiting for the audit. You did
Yes.
say that. I'm sorry.
Yes,
Thank
sorry.
you, Mayor. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Councillor Barry McGibbon.
I guess my concern, with the roads department, I'm thinking similar to Councillor Wiggins. We don't necessarily just keep a vehicle for 4 years. It could be maybe 10 years, or a pickup truck over that 10 years could be dropped down into back into parks or into the roads and be used that way, where SUV is kind of
People transportation.
yeah, and I guess where we buy a pickup, there are some pickup trucks out there that get exceptional fuel consumption, and we can look at a hybrid too.
There is a hybrid, smaller pickup. I did a little bit of research online, and there is a smaller, for example, a Ford Ranger type hybrid out there right now.
And I know some of the pickup trucks and SUVs, that there aren't a lot of differences in price. Depending on what you're getting, especially when you get into hybrid, when you're in hybrid, you're into a package. You don't get a base model hybrid. So I think it would be definitely worth our while to look at that.
I agree. Like, I'm thinking, if you run up.
Sorry, hand up, please. Yes, Councillor Wiggins.
Sorry, buddy. What I see is you have let's take a water break. They need a 10-foot section of water pipe, or you can get it in a half ton, 3/4 ton, whatever. You can't in an SUV. So it gives us more flexibility. And but I realize looking for better mileage and cost, all the rest of it. And the vehicle needs to be there. That's not the question. I'm just wondering if the SUV is the problem vehicle. That's all my question.
Councillor Miles.
Can we add a cap on the motion? Are we allowed to say that we don't want to spend any more than $100,000 for two vehicles? Are we allowed to set a standard or to set a number,
It would all depend.
pre-taxes, of course.
Yeah, so it would all depend if it, say, if the two vehicles both came in at, let's say, $52,000 plus HST. So we only get a certain portion back as a rebate, so then it might be, say, $55,000 each. So then you can't purchase them, even though.
Right, so I would like,
It all,
again, to have more information.
yeah, so it
Exactly
all,
how much does the vehicle cost? Are we talking 100, 125, 82, 83? I wouldn't mind knowing exactly what vehicle we're considering and how much it costs.
with the research I've done, they're around $40,000 to $50,000, but whatever comes back in the tender would come back to council.
Okay.
As a final resolution.
Thank you.
That works. It's just to get the information, then the final decision on the acceptance of the tender comes back to council.
Thank you.
Another blessing.
I see the motion says posted tender.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Okay, any other questions? All in favor?
Oh, sorry, is it council's wish to have one SUV and one hybrid truck?
I don't think you're gonna get a four-wheel drive. I'm assuming you want all-wheel drive, small hybrid truck right now. The Ford that you're referring to is the Maverick, and it's front-wheel drive only. And I'm assuming you want four-wheel drive?
What I'm assuming is that let staff, investigate and bring it back, as I say, to council. But I think the idea would be a utility vehicle rather than SUV.
I could change the tender to say an SUV and or pickup, small pickup, and then see what we get.
Yes.
And then that just opens it to a wider amount of vehicles.
I'd like to make an amendment to the motion that we have the treasurer create and post a tender for the purchase of two vehicles for the building bylaw department and the roads department. Whatever you bring to us, we can decide then, can we not? Yes, instead of naming two SUVs. I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Second, please. Councillor Eastman. Still can't see your hand, Councillor Eastman, but I saw you rocking your chair, so I'm assuming. There you go. Thank you.
Your face.
No,
All in
a
favor, please?
little one.
Touch your,
Right
here.
Go
All
down.
in favor?
There.
All in favor? Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Next item on our list is Scouts Canada donation request. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of Town of Bancroft is hereby approve of a donation from the Community Grant Program for the purpose of purchasing a lottery license from the town up to a maximum of $200. That's their two separate resolutions, so we'll deal with that one first. And I'm assuming that's you again, Wendland, is it? Or who is that?
Oh, that's me.
Okay.
So Scouts Canada forwarded us a letter and they asked for some money to do a lottery license. They asked for forgiveness of the amount. We can't do that with the auditor. We have to allocate funds from somewhere. So that would be the community grants. I did check with the treasurer. We do have about $1,000 left in community grants right now. But keep that in consideration with the following resolution where they're asking us to sponsor as well, which also would come out of community grants. So I know it's two separate resolutions because you will make two separate decisions, but it is really one decision of how you're going to allocate those funds because we only have so much till the end of the year.
Okay. Sorry, I'm missing, what's the difference in the second resolution?
So the second resolution, they're asking us to do a sponsorship for them in the form of a donation. And then the town of Bancroft would be listed on their apparel. They've got some pictures in there of whether or not you're on the back in large lettering or small on one of the sleeves. It's the same idea as when you have kids in soccer and you put someone's name on a jersey as sponsorship. Exactly the same thing just for Scouts.
But are these two separate things? One is the free lottery license and the second one is plus the.
Yes.
Okay, so they're two separate things, so we can vote on them separately.
Yes. Okay.
So anyway, on item A, I'm sorry, did I already get a mover and a seconder on that?
No, you did not.
Okay, mover and a seconder, Councillor Eastman. Thank you. I saw your hand quite enthusiastically.
I can.
Yeah, and Councillor Tracy McGibbon. Any discussion or comment on that? Are we setting any precedents here? Councillor.
That's my concern, but again, this is money that we didn't come in, and I fully support the fact that we can help them this way. The second motion will be a different issue.
Okay, all in favor of the first motion? Thank you, passed. I will read the second motion. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation Town of Bancroft is hereby approved of a donation from the Community Grants Program for the purpose of purchasing a sponsorship from Scouts Canada in the amount of, and it lists 3 different amounts there. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please, on that? Councillor Wiggins, seconder on that. Councillor Barry McGibbon. I was of the understanding we had exhausted the Community Grants Program.
We have about $1,100 or $1,000 roughly left.
Okay. In the 2023 budget.
Yes.
Okay.
So since this is the last council meeting, this would be your last allocation.
Okay. So comments on this?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So by passing the first resolution and basically waiving them the fee of their lottery license, just wondering if that would make us a sponsor somewhere.
It should.
In a way, they won't consider it. So it is a separate request. They sent us 2 letters. So the second letter is its own. It's up to you whether or not you consider that your sponsorship of the team by granting that $200, but it won't put us on any of their fees or payroll or anything like that. So it would be up to you if you want the second.
Councillor Wiggins.
I fully support the fact that we waive the license fee, and we should be sponsored because of that. We should be recognized. But as far as individually sponsoring 2 or 3 individual children to go on a trip, although I strongly recommend it, I think it's a great idea, but I don't think that is a council decision for us to spend our residents' dollars on that. If they wish to sponsor it, they can do it through their licensing program or whatever. So therefore, I will not support the give them extra.
Any other comments? The motion before us is to provide the sponsorship money. So an affirmative is to give them the money. So all in favor? All opposed? So the motion does not pass. Item E, asbestos survey results. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is hereby receive and file the asbestos survey completed by Cambium Inc. as provided by the Faraday Township for information purposes only. Councilor, move that.
I'll move that.
And seconder, please.
Second.
Councillor Eastman, thank you. Saw that hand again. Any?
I
Who
think it's self-containing, and it's just information at this point.
Okay. Nothing, no decision required. It's just information. Okay. Any questions or comments on that? Seeing none, all in favor, please. Thank you. Item F, Hastings Highlands Arena check. Be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Bancroft hereby refuse the check issued to the town by the municipality of Hastings Highlands, and further that the check be returned in anticipation of discussions in early 2024 with Hastings Highlands regarding the 2024 budget. Could I have a mover and a second, please? Councillor Miles moves. Councillor Barry McGibbon seconds. Discussion. I might suggest that, oh, go ahead, Councillor Eastman. Go ahead.
I'm just wondering why we're refusing money.
Because in return, it was anticipated that we would be returning the fees, the resident fees that were paid. And this is basically, this is no different than the old commission donation. We did meet with them and did inform them that we would probably do this. My only thing is I would suggest we send it with a letter of thanks, but no thanks, a courteous letter, and acknowledging that we will have further discussions in the new year. They're going to wait upon us to give them a final report on the arena operation in the new year sometime.
I fail to see why we still wouldn't receive the money.
Because then we'd have to return more money from the fees that the non-residents have paid.
I understand the check was offered with no conditions.
Well, I'm not 100% sure on that, to be frank with you, Councillor Eastman. You know, I don't know if our general manager has a comment on this.
My understanding was that the expectation was that we would return the user fees as a result of them issuing the check to us. I know that some folks have called their municipality and they confirmed that they had received calls and that they redirected them back to us for instructions about how to receive the rebate. So that's my understanding. I can follow up with that further. I could pull the resolution and bring that, but my understanding is that they felt that would negate the need for the user fees.
But I think we need, these are one of the delegates negotiations certainly next year coming up. So I think we should have an understanding of what the $6,000 profit for or not before we turn it down.
Councillor Miles.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So our original request of North Hastings was 10,000, which they chose not to support. And then the conversation of user fees came to the table. And as of the meeting we had with them, I think we were up around, well, we had collected 8,500, I think, is what we had collected around approximately from our users that come from Hastings Highlands. So, and the only reason the 6,000 came to the table was as a result of the push from their constituents. That did not come freely. That came from calls and an understanding that, hey, they're charging us a user fee. How come you're not supporting the arena? So when we had the meeting, it was to say that I can have hand you something in writing that says everybody really understood that's what the situation is. I can't do that. But I can, I have confidence that when the mayor of Hastings Highlands was here, he understood why we said no to the 6. And he, again, I think the sense was, well, you take this money, you're gonna have to rebate all of that. That was sort of the whole nuance of the conversation at the time. And once our meeting was done, it was really well received with a clear understanding that we would provide exactly where the arena stands over the new year, where our budget process is within the new year, and that they would seriously take into consideration. I mean, the mayor cannot speak for all of council, but there would be serious consideration to look at a variety of ways that understands the high usage of Hastings Highlands constituents and the cost of operating the arena. So it's not necessarily a refusal to Hastings Highlands that says, you know, forget it, we don't want your money. It's more of a nuance about understanding that you didn't even really want to help us in the beginning, and it has occurred because of the situation, and now there's a clear understanding that even that amount of money is a difficult sell for all of us because of the cost of operating the community center. So, and I really am confident, and Andre, I hope we would get the thing, Mr. Mayor. I think we would all feel the same way if you were to ask the mayor of Hastings Highlands that these were 2 pieces. This happens or this happens. I don't think ever their commitment was, if we'd given you the $6,000 in the beginning and there was no use, then we couldn't have still done a user fee. There was some clear understanding during our communication on that day. So they were quite fine with us saying, thank you very much, but this isn't, you know, this is what we asked for. And here's our information that says why we've asked for what we've done. And I know we have a really good situation moving forward in terms of understanding and openness and some acceptance to seeing where we will be. And maybe next year they will be able to find a bit more room than the 6,000 within their budget to help support the community center.
Well, I still want to accept, I guess, the explanation of why we're refusing money. Like, worst case scenario, we had to give $3,500 back. We're still ahead $2,500. I just.
No, we'd be behind. We collected more in user fees than $6,000.
Well, that's a separation, why not accept it?
Correct. Yeah, that was it in a nutshell.
That's what I thought, you said 8,600.
Yeah, exactly, you're closer to the original ask.
The original ask really was covering the.
10,000, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
I hear you.
Yeah,
The
so
original-
no, we'd be behind, George. If we took the 6,000 and then had to pay back the user fees, we'd be behind $2,500.
Yeah, but still go back, my original statement is that, my understanding is that there's no conditions that they gave us, they offered this check to us. There's no conditions that we give back user fees to the people. We think that would be the expectation, and we don't know any different. That's the
Or we
clarification.
deposit the check, or before we return it.
So we could return it with the letter stating that we understand they were expecting the user fees to be returned. And if that's not the case, then they can just give us back the check. I think it would depend on how we phrase the letter, you know, and reference our meeting. And I think they did it to concur with Councillor Miles. I think they walked away with a very clear understanding that $10,000 that we originally asked for was a mere drop in the bucket of the equitable share of the cost. So, and I do see Councillor Eastman's point there. So I think we would have to phrase the letter properly, that we're returning it, because it's our understanding that by accepting it, we would have to return all the user fees. And I think if we state that, then we will have covered ourselves.
I'm thinking too that, I mean, if we don't take your 6 now, and they give us six more next year, but if we only ask for expecting 10, we're up $2,000, if they're gonna give us $6,000 a year.
Only if they're not expecting the refund. But again, just to be frank, the arena is not sustainable on anything less than an equitable share. And I think this all goes part and parcel with what the future of the arena is. So, yeah, even if they want to give
further negotiations with them, that's all.
Yeah, even if they wanted to give us the 6,000 and for us to keep the user fees, it still only scratches the surface of, you know, what the equitable percentage is. So.
And I accept all that. I'm just saying, I don't want to cause any more bad feelings with the township up there that would hamper our discussions here next year. I guess that's my biggest concern.
No, understand. Andra?
So I just pulled up they do a newsletter similar to ours after a council meeting, and the mayor's report in their September council meeting states, council supported a resolution put forward by Mayor Fitzgerald asking that the town of Bancroft reconsider introducing a non-resident user fee for residents of Hastings Highlands for use of the NHCC arena. The non-resident user fee was imposed in response to Hastings Highlands denying the town of Bancroft's request for a financial donation of $10,000. In a demonstration of good faith and in support of the residents of Hastings Highlands, council has approved a donation of $6,000 to go toward the operation of the arena's ice surface, with the hope that the town will reconsider the non-resident user fee.
So they are looking for them back. Or I think this all depends on how we craft the letter when we return the check to satisfy the concerns of Councillor Eastman and reference the meeting that we had, you know.
And I think even the numbers should be in there.
Yeah, they can be. We promised them, you know, after we get our final numbers, that we would produce a report sometime in the first quarter and then get it.
I mean, that alone shows that the user fees are more than it's almost what we asked originally, which we all know really is not what we need. We need more than the 10,000 to be equitable.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think my suggestion is that Andre, maybe you draft the letter and then Councillor Miles and myself, who sat in the meeting, could have a look at it and just see if it reflects the spirit of the meeting and based on the intent that I think you've shown that they had from offering us the 6,000.
I can support that.
Will do.
Okay. So all in favor, please. Thank you. Next, surplus deficits for 2022 be it resolved that the Council Corporation of the Town of Bancroft directs the treasurer to allocate any surplus and or deficit to the appropriate reserves from the 2022 audit once received. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Wiggins, Councillor Barry McGibbon. Wouldn't we do this after we receive the audit? Have a look at this?
Yeah, so basically I looked back and I thought I had done the resolution already, but I hadn't. So this is just prepping for when the final numbers come, hopefully shortly, once we meet them this week, to do the allocations to the proper departments. Because before it used to just go into the special initiatives reserve. So this is just, as we've been talking through previous budgets, et cetera, that the money would be going back to the specific departments.
So have we already passed a resolution saying that the money would go back to the specific departments?
No, this is the resolution for once we get finalized 22 to do that. And then the report would come back to council saying this is the amount from the audit that would be going back to each reserve.
Comments or thoughts? I think I would prefer that the discussion happen, then we make the decision. That's my thought anyway, on how we allocate the reserves. Councillor Wiggins.
I believe if they bring it to us, we can change it at that point, can we not?
Yes.
So this just gives them
Okay.
an avenue, you know?
Okay.
This is just basically a framework and then
Okay.
a further report would come.
Okay, okay. This isn't etched in stone.
No.
Okay, okay. Did I do a mover and a seconder on that, Jennifer?
Yeah, we just need an all in favor.
Okay, all in favor. Thank you. Speed enforcement technology reserve, be it resolved that council of the corporation of the town of Bancroft does accept the report for consideration of 2024 budget for the purpose of a traffic speed enforcement device. Mover to seconder on this, please. Councillor Wiggins, Councillor Barry McGibbon, any comments or questions? All in favor, please. Thank you. Proclamation for Alzheimer's Awareness Month. Whereas January is Alzheimer's Awareness Month across Canada, and whereas every 3 seconds someone in the world develops dementia, and whereas the Alzheimer's Society raises general awareness of dementia in the public, identifies warning signs and stresses the importance of early diagnosis while offering support and programs for those living the dementia journey. Now therefore be it resolved, so the Corporation of Town of Bancroft is hereby proclaimed the month of January 2024 as Alzheimer Awareness Month and urges all citizens in our community to become more aware and educated concerning the far-reaching effects of Alzheimer's disease and related dementia. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Barry McGibbon, Councillor Miles, all in favor, please? So pass, thank you. There is no business arising from notices of motion. There is no notices of motion. Consent agenda. Be resolved that the items listed under the consent agenda, items 17B to 17, what is it, D, sorry.
Sorry, my apologies.
Be received by the Corporation of Town of Bancroft for information. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? On that one, Councillor Tracy McGibbon, Councillor Miles, any comments or questions? All in favor, please? Thank you. Community announcement events. Let's see, who would like to go through these? Andre, would you like to go through these, please?
I can
do that, yeah. Let me just get that open there.
I have one too.
Okay, so just a few things. So there is a new exhibit at the Art Gallery of Bancroft. It's the jury exhibit, and as I understand, it's just recently been extended until into January. So if your season is currently busy, you have some time after the season to go see the amazing work of some amazing artists. Search has launched a workshop for children who are going to school, just to get them ready for school. The monthly updates from Our Shared Commitment and Your Space, which are the youth groups at the Youth Hub, operated by Northeast Children's Services, or in cooperation with them, are also attached for your review.
Okay, is there any others there?
I believe, yes, Sir Tracy, you did it?
Something on the Art Gallery of Bancroft there? I'm sorry, did I miss that?
Yeah, that's the jury art exhibit at the Art Gallery.
Yeah, which is on right now. Okay. Tracy, you had something you wanted to?
All right, I do. We had a gentleman that has served for 30 plus years in our community, not just Bancroft, but surrounding as well, Belleville here and probably other places. So he retired in September 30th, 2021, but didn't officially retire because he did put in a few more years here, and that is Justice Stephen Hunter. So his last day in our Bancroft courthouse was last Tuesday. He had popped into the cake shop before he left Bancroft, but I think he deserves to have a certificate that the town of Bancroft does, just to recognize his years of service here. Not such an easy job. One of his quotes in the Belleville Intelligencer was, "You get to have a direct impact on the life of your community, which is always the focus for me, the community." And I think he's done a lot of wonderful things, tough things, but wonderful things to help those in our community. So I think that we need to honor him with a certificate.
Would you like to make that motion?
Sure.
And can we have a seconder? Councillor Eastman, all in favor? While we're on this topic of certificates, can we look at a different cover or envelope to put them in, something that's a bit more substantial than what we're doing right now? I'm just going to ask staff if they could look into that. Any of the other here are in something a little bit nicer than what we do. So anyway, I'll leave that there. Any other community announcements? Okay, seeing none. Bylaws. Here we go. First, second, and third reading be it resolved.
Wait.
Okay,
Never
yes.
mind. I have one that I'd like to defer.
Oh, okay. Hang on. Let me. Which one is it?
It's bylaw, the one that I was passionate about last week, so 83-2023.
Oh, yes, it's the very first one.
Yep.
I do agree. I think it needs a little bit more consideration. So you want to put a motion to defer that?
Sure.
A seconder, please. Councillor Wigan, all in favor, please. Okay, thank you. I will then start at bylaw 85-2023, a bylaw to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw number 27-2006 as amended. Bylaw 86-2023 being a bylaw to amend Schedule A to bylaw 93-2022 being the administrative monetary penalty system bylaw. Bylaw 01-2024 being a bylaw to authorize a temporary borrowing of funds until the taxes are collected and other revenues are received, the amounts that the municipality considers necessary to meet the expenses of the municipality during the fiscal year. Bylaw.
Whoa.
What? What's, sorry, am I missing something?
I just wanted to let you know that we can't include, if you're deferring 83, we can't go ahead to read 86, as 86 is the amendment for that bylaw in the AMPS penalty system. So it won't work.
What do you need me to do?
We just agreed to strike 86 from this as well and be deferred with 83.
Sorry, what?
We would just have to strike 86 to be deferred along with 83.
For what reason? Because of the numbering?
No, because 86 is the amendment to the AMPS bylaw that provides for the signed bylaw penalties. So if you're deferring the signed bylaw, the penalties won't be part of the AMPS penalty system yet. So we can't have it in the AMPS system without having the bylaw.
Fine. So we have deleted both 83 and deferred 83 and
86.
86. Okay. Deferred. Okay. Could I have a motion to defer 86, whatever that is, dash 2023? Councillor Miles, Councillor Eastman, all in favor? Thank you. 01, 2024, being a bylaw to authorize a temporary borrowing of funds until the taxes are collected and other revenues are received. I've done that one. Bylaw 02, 2024, being a bylaw to provide for an interim levy for all tax classes prior to the adoption of estimates for the year. And bylaw 03, 2024, being a bylaw to amend Schedule A, bylaw number 44-2006, being a bylaw to adopt water and wastewater rates. Could I have a mover and a second? Did I already have a mover and a seconder? I can't remember.
You do not.
Mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Tracy McGibbon, Councillor Wiggins, all in favor, please. Thank you. Confirming bylaw first, second, and third reading. Be it resolved that a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the meeting of council held on December 13, 2023 be hereby given a first, second, and third reading. Be finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered bylaw 87-2023. Mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Miles, Councillor Eastman, all in favor, please. So passed. Thank you. The next meeting of regular council is scheduled for January 10th, 2024 at 3 p.m. And a motion to adjourn, please. Councillor Wiggins. Thank you very much.